Alright, so we're moving on to SMGs, and that means we're going to touch pretty much like all of these categories at least once. The definition for SMG is very fast and loose. But where else to start than the beginning? What is our first one?
The Mac 11.
I'm sorry, something just made a splash noise. We're in the middle of a desert. I want the suppressor on this because we learned in this series that this is the only way to fire this gun. I mean, you can fire it without, but like, you know, that's your funeral. Or at least your wrist's funeral. Oh, these sights are great. I don't know exactly where I'm aiming, and I'm not happy about that. And for folks who want to know more about the suppressor thing, I'll go ahead and fire it without the suppressor, and you will understand. Yeah, have fun with that. This is already proving to be a problem because I've maybe hit like 10 rounds to metal. Okay, there we go. It's actually not awful without the suppressor, but it really wants to be suppressed. There is a little bit of fun to be had in just the whack factor of it just being a kind of stamped sheet metal box that kills. So I'll give it a 6 for fun. Well,
aside from its 1 in comfort, we got a 33 of daily for a 54 in total.
I'm gonna move that down a little. It's interesting. So this is the Mark 10, which is the Mac 11. But Payday the Heist contains the Mark 11, which is the Mac 10.
Yep. Alright, next is the Compact 5, or the MP5. Basically your choosing, because it's the A2, A3, SD2, whatever.
Yep. So we have... I want to say by default it comes...
I think by default it's the A2.
A2? With the solid stock? I thought it was the A3 with the collapsing stock.
Okay, no, by default it's the one with the solid stock, not the short one.
What the Interesting! So it can be this. You can get this with the collapsing stock for stealth. If you run it akimbo, you get this one, which has no stock, the MP5K, should you desire. There is a mod that turns it into the MP510. They didn't know what MP5 they wanted, so they decided we're going to have all of them. Alright, so, and away we go. I actually like the sights on the MP5. Yeah. But no, I'm not terribly a fan of the look, but it is a very good look. It's just like, I don't know, the lines are super good. I love like the way the stock slopes down. I love the foregrip kind of sloping up. I love the big straight line all the way across the back with these gigantic chunky sights. It's just good. It's just a really good look. This is a 9. Let's talk. This is a 10. We don't even need to talk features. There's so much shit you can do to this thing.
That brings us up to 43 on the daily.
Nice.
Which, if I'm reading this correctly, is our highest. Total score of 82.
Superb. Alright, what's next?
MP9.
Right. The old CMP. Like, when they made the big deal, it's like, oh, we added, you know, stuff for the CMP SMG. Like, they added a new, what was it, like a stock or something? In, like, 2017 or 2018?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a gun? And I looked at it, I'm like, they must have added this relatively recently. No, it's been in the game since launch. Nobody just uses it. Well, it eats the entire magazine in one bite and doesn't stop to catch a breath. I almost need to slap a sight on this, because this front sight is really bothering me. It's a lot of plastic. If you left this thing out in the hot sun, or you put it in like the back window of your car while you went out and did some shopping on a summer's day, you'll come back and find a puddle of goop. But it is a machine washable firearm as a result. God. Practicality, I'm hard pressed to try to find a reason you'd want to bring this and not one of our other options so far. And I feel like that's the problem it fell into in the base game as well, is it's just not as good as even the Mark X. So as a result, yeah, this is like a 4 for practicality. And how much money was this in the game?
418.
That's a 2.
That's 21 on daily and a 44 in total. P90.
That is a personal defense weapon. The good old Cobus 90. This gun is interesting. For instance, we don't know why it's called the Cobus 90. Secondly, they modeled, a BB hopper on this thing. All they had was the airsoft gun. So they just built their models off of the BB gun. They're off the airsoft gun. I don't know what happened there, fellas. They never went and fixed that, is my favorite part. They just kept it. And if you're new to H3, behold the weird way you have to reload this thing in the game. That's not it. It's hard to fit your virtual hands in there. Technically, this should be more armor piercing than the 5.7 because you get more barrel, which means that you're rifling the bullet faster, so you're gonna have more kind of like this direction velocity. So it's gonna kind of just stick and twist. So this should absolutely be armor piercing, but it's not because reasons. I'll give it a 7 for acceleration. How much did this cost?
822.
Fuck, that's a 1. Fuck no.
Somehow it's still better than the MP9, but you only got a daily score of 19, which is tied with the Tokarev for a total of 48.
Woo, yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. You're not the worst gun in the game.
Chicago typewriter.
Fuck yeah. Well, yeah, there's no stick mag. If you could get a stick mag, that'd be bizarre. I believe Raid had the stick mag, actually.
Yeah, of course they did. They just failed at everything else.
Well, they were able to solve the problem Overkill couldn't or wouldn't, which was they could only do one reload animation, so they couldn't do like drum mags for like the Car 4 or anything. Somehow LGL found a way to have one animation for the stick mag and a different one for the drum. But yeah, that, that's a point in Raid World War II's favor. It just needs about 60 more points before it can break even. It was just sold as the wrong thing, made by the wrong studio, not given nearly enough time to be its own thing. And as a result, it's just not worth playing. Oh, there's Sterling, and there's Kurgan, and there's the American.
I genuinely don't remember what the American's name is.
I don't either. There was a fourth one, too. Kurgan was the Russian with the gas mask. Wolfgang!
Yeah. Sterling, Rivet, Wolfgang, Kurgan.
Rivet.
A gangster from Chicago turned raider.
That's just Dallas. That is word for word Dallas. It's fine. You know what? One more Chicago character, I'll accept.
Yeah.
He's like the weird red-headed stepchild of the family. You know, we've got all these fun Chicago characters, and then we have Rivet. And then we have what's-his-name from Dying Light, who is also from Chicago. Even though Roger Craig Smith has a very pronounced Californian accent. But we're not here to talk about Dying Light, we're here to talk good games like Raid World War II. That was the comment equivalent of hitting a wasp nest with a sledgehammer. 10 for style. I don't need to say anything else. Look at it and tell me that you wouldn't give it a 10. fun factor, you get to be a Prohibition-era gangster and, you know, just drop this down to hip height and just...
We can score up to 35.
Oh boy! Let's talk features. You can black out the foregrip and the stock, and you can apply a suppressor. And that's about it. You can take the stock off. There is no conceivable reason to bring this to any kind of robbery. If you're looking to fire a bunch of 45, surprise, we actually have something for you, and it's called the UMP.
Daily of 25, total of 60. So far, the highest on the SMGs.
No, because the Compact 5 had almost like 80, didn't it?
Oh, no, you're right. There are too many numbers on this screen.
Yes.
Next one is the MP7A1.
That is a personal defense weapon.
Uh-huh.
Alright, let's go ahead and shoot the grenade. Wrong game. It's very Y2K aesthetic. It's very clear why it was in Half-Life 2. Because it was 2004 and Valve just wanted their whole game to look like 2004. But outside of that, like, I don't really see this gun very often in things. And the things I do see it in are all just paying homage to its appearance in Half-Life 2. Which I think is interesting. I will say, the profile isn't that bad. You know, there are some interesting diversions and lines to break up what is otherwise just two rectangles stacked atop one another. I'll give it a 7. I'm not a particularly big fan of it, but I will give it a 7. I do see some merit. Acceleration's a weird one, because this fires its own Bizarro round, 4.6 by 30. It's a tiny little thing.
So, barrel extension, gadget, magazine, sights, stock. Yeah, spend money to pull the stock out.
How much money to pull the stock out?
12K.
Oh my god. That's the future of smart guns. It's like how you have to, what is it? On the BMWs, it's I think like $200 a month to keep your heated seats. They're a subscription service. That'll be the future of firearms.
Alright, that brings us to a daily of 33 and a total of 63, which is just above the Thompson.
That is a surprise to me.
I was about to say, you took my favorite gun and made it better, and you took your favorite gun and made it worse.
Well, I like the Doug score, because we're actually, it feels like this is a lot more definitive than just pressing me to slap a letter on a thing.
VZ Scorpion. Good old Cobra.
It's weird that this is counted as an SMG, but I guess I get it. Hey, who am I? I'm looking for my daughter. What'd you do with her? Half my hand is missing. I'm made out of mold. Thank you. Thank you. Resident Evil coming this summer. Oh, these sites are hateful. My favorite thing about this game's extended mag is it's just 2 mags, but your character doesn't do this.
No, they just take both of them back out, and it's a new mag.
The one on the left just depletes magically. It's
for a daily score of 18 and a total of 46.
Yeah, baby. The Tech 9. So, technically, the Tech 9 is a pistol. Yeah. And if we just grab the Tech 9 and we open it up and know what it lacks. It's not automatic by default. If you want an automatic Tech 9, you have to do some modification to it. This modification is, of course, illegal, but now, yippee! Oh, these sights are like were developed by an idiot. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I think it has a skeletal stock.
Okay, well, you just assuming it does sounds like enough reason for me to be able to put... You son of a bitch. What the fuck? Anton! Anton, this isn't... Oh!
That is not how it looks in game, but okay.
This back portion very clearly wants to be like a latch for a stock.
I don't think that's how that works.
Well, we're here. And you know what? That helped tremendously. Yeah, putting a stock on it is actually more than enough help. Also, I just want to point out, this gun doesn't have a safety. The safety is don't shoot it and don't stand in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
Practicality is like a 3. How much money does it cost?
This is 725k. Daily of 21, total of 45.
Woo, yeah, baby, you did it. You succeeded. You beat it just barely.
By 1.
By 1.
Just straight Uzi.
Yeah. Okay. Nice big sight. Very comfortable rate of fire. It's rather leisurely, which I actually don't mind. I'm just gonna go. Style, it is kind of just the Mac 10, but all grown up. It is massive. It is massive.
Yeah.
Handling, it's actually not that bad. Yeah, the slower pace really does help. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give that a 7. So that brings our total
61.
61.
Pretty good.
Nice.
The jackets piece, or the Cobra M11-9.
So we don't have the fun aesthetic of the 80s calling, but we do have the Cobra. I always thought that this was just like a weird like civilian version of the Mac pistols, but like looking at it,
they're different. They're very subtle, but they're different.
This is just like a bootleg version. Cobra even makes a bunch of like crap guns. They've got the Cobra Terminator, which is a shotgun where it's like a big tube and the whole barrel slams back to push the shotgun shell into the firing pin to fire off a round. It doesn't work. Cobra is just like not full of good ideas. But this thing it's got support for full auto. These sights are awful. Oh my god. Hey, so you know how the Mac 10 has this fun, cool thing on the back called a stock?
Yeah.
Let's stick the suppressor on it and see if that helps. No! No, didn't help. I could stick a stock to it. We have plenty on the ground. And it can take a stock in the game.
That just worked just fine.
You get one more try. One more, that's all we can spare you. What did you do, Cobra? Cobra, what the fuck did you do? God damn it! Where's my red dot? Even after all of that, this thing still flops around like the MP7. What happened here? Why is it mounted like this?
I don't know. I was just thinking about that. That's really, like, high.
Yeah, that does actually look...
Yeah, that looks about right, actually. You can actually look over that one.
Just barely. Those sights are useless. I'm just gonna... Yeah, no, the foregrip doesn't help. Looks, it's just a bastardization of the MAC-10. And that's already not a handsome-looking gun. Is it a 1? It's a 1. Fuck it. Christ, I just... The problem comes in handling, which is getting a 1. Because if I need to reiterate... And then you slap all of this on there, and then you have something that's only about as accurate as the MP7. Which didn't need any of that shit. It's a 1. It's, you know... Oh, Dallas, I want the Mac 11. He's like, we have a Mac 11 at home, and this is what you have. It's sitting in the fridge, nobody wants it. And you know what that means for cool factor? Being just a bootleg of that. It's getting a 2.
I genuinely thought you were gonna say 0.
It has a mag release. I can't give it a 0. Doug Square doesn't have a 0. It has a mag release lever, so it gets a point for cool. They found a way to one up the Mac 11. But that's it. That's the only way they one-up this thing. It's just objectively worse other than that little lever, so it gets a 2. So in terms of quality, you're getting like a 3. You can take it apart, and that's really its only saving grace.
You could take it apart and then never put it back together again.
Yep. Practicality? Why are we even talking practicality? There's nothing practical here. This is how you know Jacket's a sociopath. We can actually... I still don't get why they let this become an option during... What was it? Spring Break 2018? I hit nothing. There was like literally no chance of me being able to hit that target. How much did this cost?
This one was only 261K.
Well, when you say it like that, you get 3 points.
Oh my god.
How many points did it get?
A grand total of 23.
The Thompson got more in weekend score alone. We must celebrate. An ode to your mediocrity. I dropped the magazine somewhere. Oh well. Oh, this is gonna make the table explode. Holy shit. Oh my god. I need to find the Cobra. All the watermelons just fell over. Great. That's clipped into the wood now. Oh how I wish the Cobra was here. So it can look upon what it has done. I'm just gonna assume, and I have no grounding in reality for why this might be, I'm just gonna assume that when it exploded, it shot straight into the air and bounced right into the garbage can. Because that's really the only hope that thing has. Well, on that exciting note, what's next? That feels like a farce to even say, but we must press onwards.
Chris Vector.
Sure. You know, this seems blasé by comparison. It's like ending your video game with a giant, like, fight against, like, fallen angels and a giant puzzle wheel, and then having to come back 5 months later to rob a warehouse. I actually don't want to use the glow ring sights. I want to use... These aren't the irons that come on it, but I want to use the HK irons. And lights, camera, action. Okay, so my problem with this thing is it just eats through its ammo too quickly. That's it. That's really about it. Looks, I like the look of it. It's very unique. Yeah, I feel I'm gonna give it an 8. I do like the. It has aged a little bit, but like I don't know. It's just kind of nifty looking. Yeah, no, give us more than 25 rounds, please. Fun factor, this thing just looks cyberpunk as fuck. And I just think that's neat. I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8 for a fun factor. And this thing no doubt costs a lot of money.
I know this is where it's gonna go down at 896.
It's a 5. It could be more egregious.
That brings us up to 59 in total, 1 point below the Thompson.
Oh yeah.
We're going right into the Heathers, or the SR2M Versex.
We need to use the SR3 because this game doesn't have the SR2. We could, for whatever reason, take... Oh, AKs. Well, this thing's kind of funky. I actually kind of like the, I kind of like the report on this thing. It's just... It's got all the briskness of, like, an early April morning. You know...
It's nice that they actually got, like, the actor who played Jimmy to come into the game.
They didn't just get him. The people who directed that trailer were the entire crew behind Hardcore Henry.
Fair.
It was, like, all of them. And it's the reason why, Bad Motherfucker is, one of your menu tracks that you can select. Because Hardcore Henry was, like, that entire crew is the band Biting Elbows.
Yeah. That brings our daily to 34 and our total to 64.
Hooray!
It is now beating the Spec Ops by 1.
Yep. Second best SMG so far. What's next?
Micro Uzi.
It's like the gun equivalent of all of those, like, portable NES on a chips. Like, so many concessions were made just for this to be small. Rate of fire's nuts. I think that's funny, actually. The fact that as the Uzis get smaller, their rate of fire just gets faster. This is all of the anger and ferocity of a very afraid Chihuahua.
I was about... It's literally a dog as a gun. Like, the bigger the dog is, compared to the smaller the dog is. Like, Chihuahuas are vicious.
Alright, style. I don't like this thing. It kind of looks weirdly fat and tall. Like, proportionally, the proportions got goofed up from Uzi to Micro. I'll give it a 4 for that.
That brings us up to daily 26, total of 51.
Actually, not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Alright, now's the Krinkov.
Okay, well, it's already here, so we're just gonna... Yay! Radio, it's just a small AK, so in terms of looks, it gets an 8. Fun factor, it's an AK, but fun-sized. Like, that's an 8. That's just fun. It's a little baby AK. The 4 can be changed, the barrel can be changed, barrel extension, magazine, sight, stock. I think even the pistol grip. That sounds like a 9 to me. It's not as many mods as the full-sized AK, but still quite a hefty amount of them, so 9. Quality, it's a 10, because it's an AK. You can't stop at AK. That's a 10, baby. Practicality, it's an AK, but small. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And it fires the same bullet as the AK-74, so hell yeah. That's also a 10. And how much does this cost?
$652.
That's not that good, but at the same time, like, there's a lot you can do with this thing, so fuck it. One more time. 7!
Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, we have a new champion here at 78 in total.
That's even above the Compact 5?
That's above no, never mind. I spoke too soon. I was very close. Compact 5 is still at 82. Next up is the Jackal SMG or the UMP-45.
I've called this thing the Luigi of firearms many a time before, and it is. Let's see how the Bizarro MP5 handles a live fire scenario. Its sound design in this game is frickin' punchy. So pull that back, grab a new mag, retention reload. Yeah! This is the hot new way to reload a UMP. Style, I don't... It's very weirdly boxy. Yeah, so style, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give this, I'll give it a 5. It's okay. I love the alternate magazine for the Jackal because it's kind of just like this.
Yeah, it's just really long. Alright, that brings us up to 63 in total.
Okay.
PP Bison.
Okay, what an odd contraption this is. I'm sorry, 9x18? Oh, like Makarov. From this angle, it kind of looks like a caulk gun. But then that brings us to the cool factor and the downsides of the helical magazine. Note that there aren't many guns that use a helical magazine, and it's because it's all the problems of a drum mag, but like amplified.
Yeah.
It's like reliability, it jams itself. Feed issues are a nightmare. There's easier ways to carry this many rounds, and it's just grabbing a number of box mags and swapping them quickly.
Alright, that brings our daily to 22 and our total to 51.
Wow!
Next is super easy to recognize, the MP40.
Right, this is in the game. Why is there a Nazi SMG in Payday 2? It's a long and convoluted story. It's funny, the Luger sucks. Then you get the MP40, which sucks. Actually, you have the freaking, like, daggers. Those suck. Then you get the Luger, which sucks. Then you get the MP40, which blows. And then you get the Garand, which is the game's best rifle, period. I'm gonna try to shoot the targets again. Alright, well, let's begin. In terms of looks, I'm sorry, the curves are just neat. It's got a very neat profile. I just wish it wasn't, you know, the Nazis.
Yeah.
Fun factor, there's nothing fun about being Nazi. This is just the Swedish K. Like, almost exactly, this is just the Swedish K. Just use the Swedish K. No one likes a Nazi. Except for other Nazis. And you know what we say here on the channel, our big motto, punch a fascist today. Practicality, this is a museum piece.
Yeah.
Don't bring a fascist gun to fight the cops. When it's in their hands, any gun's a fascist gun. No, leave this in the museum.
Alright, that brings us to a total of 51.
It's just a mood killer.
It is.
It's like, yay, yippee, you know, a fun history piece. I'm just going to avoid having to think about Auschwitz for a second.
Yep.
Christ.
Alright.
Okay, now we move on to...
The Bren 806.
Submachine gun.
I never understood why this is considered a submachine gun.
I don't have an answer. I don't...
Never got it.
I feel like if you asked, it's like, hey, Almir, why did that count as a submachine gun? Even nowadays, you'd be like, I don't fucking know, man. This is just an assault rifle. I mean, it's kind of a rugged thing. I just... actually, if you want to look up the Bren 805 and see if there is one and what kind of round it fires.
556 NATO.
Fucking hell. Okay. It's a lot. It's a pretty beefy round for a submachine gun. We'll go ahead and give that a 7. Practicality, this is not a secondary.
Yeah, this is a primary in the secondary slot.
Rust lied. How much money does it cost?
You're gonna laugh at me. 58K.
What the?
It costs the same amount as the Mac 11.
What? I don't know what number to give it.
I feel like I just put you through an existential crisis.
This is to make up for the fact I can't have an existential crisis this year. This is my crisis for the year. Every year I'm allowed one crisis. 2020...
Only one?
Only one. 2020 was a big one. Well, it's...
I think that's a lot of us.
I spent a lot of 2020 in multiple crises, so now I'm only allowed one a year. Doctor's orders. 2021, I was like, I don't know what my crisis this year was. And then November happened, and it's like, oh, here's your crisis. I'm like, oh, thanks. This year, it's... What? 10? 10! What?
That brings us up to a total of 61.
Wowie! Wow, yeah. Alright, this is our last one, right?
Yes, the Vitalis. Or
Vitius? Vitius?
However you pronounce a stupid thing, yeah.
So, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, this is a 9mm AK. Huh. Where have I seen that one before? So this was meant to replace the Bison. As you'll notice, it is reasonably built and assembled. The stock goes out a frickin' quarter mile, so you can't physically...
Say.
But don't worry, we can still... No, we can't. No, we can't. This is actually a proper magazine well. It's like a sci-fi understanding of what an AK should be. Lots of weird gaps and cutouts all over this thing. Which are neat. They are neat, and I will give them that. In terms of comfort, I love the handle. Look at this thing. It's like a waffle.
You'll have a waffle print in your hand if you keep using it.
No, you'll have a Lego brick imprint in your hand, because...
Have knuckles as shoes.
Yes. Quality, it's an AK. Beat the shit out of it. Nobody cares. Yeah, that's a 10. And how much money is this in the game?
134.
That is superb. That's a 10.
That brings us to a daily of 41, a total of 74.
Who are you? I'm you, but better. Well,
that just felt rude.
It did. Look at all these SMGs. MP5, fantastic. Our AK friends, we got the Bren, we got the UMP, the Chicago typewriter. Things start going a little downhill from here. The Tech 9, the Mac 11, the VZ. But let's be honest. Let's give it up for today's real winner. That's right. This piece of shit. Come on, friend. We've got to celebrate you in style. We got to do this again. Sorry. Nope, get back up there. This is a good time to move on to something else, I think. So now we're talking primary shotguns. There are a great many of these, and they come in all of these different flavors. Literally all of these flavors.
Yeah.
This should be more interesting than the secondary shotguns at the very least, except for I think we're starting with... Are we starting with the Rheinfeld?
Yeah, we're starting with the Rheinfeld or the Remington 870.
Okay, so there is this 870. I also found out there's this 870. So we might just use this one. I wish this game had a normal 870. Yeah, this is about it. I'd give it a 7. It's very... Again, I keep saying urban tactical, but that's really the aesthetic the whole like base game had. Even though your most involved job was, here's a house full of meth, do something about it. You can do a lot to this thing in Payday 2. Again, you got the stock that you can manipulate. I believe you can get a shorter or longer barrel. You have all kinds of sights and lasers and doodads and gadgets. Some of which feels extraneous and also unnecessary and also kind of dumb. Mark my words, Payday 3 is going to become exactly like 2 in that there are too many options and it's just a UI UX nightmare to navigate.
Yep. So would you give this a 10?
Yeah, in terms of features, this is a 10. And now are we talking cost?
Yes, at 176,000.
Oh, that is not that bad in clown money. I'm gonna give that an 8.
That brings our daily score to an identical 41 for a total of 82.
82. Christ, is that the best one?
That is the best.
That makes so much sense.
Yzma 12 gauge. Good old Saiga.
Straight from Heisenberg's factory into your hands. I mean, let's pull the wacky bullshit off of it for just a second and really appreciate the. Let's also put a regular-looking magazine into it because, boy howdy, it looks like cats when their legs grow faster than their bodies. When it's got the 12-round mag in. There we go.
Now it just looks real.
Yeah. Oh, it's an AK, but watch out! I'm giving this thing a 9 in style. How people get this thing is you get the skill that just gives you 15 more shells to a mag and go. And holy cow, I gotta say, even though I belted through that magazine faster than you should, it performed astoundingly well. I'm giving that a 9 in terms of handling. Like, the recoil impulse isn't as bad as you would think. How many clown dollars are we talking for this thing?
581k.
That is actually way better than I thought it would be. I was expecting this to be in like the 800 territory. So I'll give it a 7.
Then we have a daily score of 34. You had a very good weekend, but a bad day. To a total of 77.
That's still not bad.
Moscone 12 gauge, the side-by-side double barrel.
One of my favorite things about this game is that the fewer shells you're firing, apparently the stronger they are. Your gun only has 2? Yeah, we'll give you a few hundred damage. Your gun can shoot 20 at a time, plus an extra 15 from skills. Yeah, 40. They're all 12 gauge. Oh, game balance. Okay. Looks, this thing is an absolute classic, even sawn down. I mean, either way, you're rolling with just an undisputed classic. It's a 10. It's gorgeous.
It, honestly.
Fun factor, holy cow, it's a frickin' double barrel shotgun. And for that, it is lovely. And just all of your old-timey bank robbery fantasies. Why isn't there an alcohol bootlegging mission? Even, like, I don't know, they could come up with a way to do it. They had one where you're tiny and on a table and cooking giant meth and fighting a giant spider. I have not played that mission, and for good reason.
I have played it too many times. I hate it.
I feel sorry for you.
It's okay, the music slapped.
You could just play the music on any other mission. There's nothing stopping you from playing Don't Act Dumb on the frickin' White House heist. There's nothing stopping you from playing Don't Act Dumb while fighting the flippin' Angels of Hell or whatever. They've come up with all these crazy scenarios. They can come up with a reason that you would have to bootleg alcohol. And then all you need to do... Border Crystal should have been that. Because we already have enough meth jobs. Now it's like, oh yeah, add the barley. And then if you screw it up, your distillery just explodes. I want a bootlegging heist, and then I want to... I'm not gonna play it, but... but, like, I don't know, it seems neat, and then you can attach an achievement, like, oh, play it using only 1911s, Thompsons, and Mosconis. That'd be fun. Is this the $800,000?
This is the $896,000 shotgun.
That's a 3. Why is it so expensive? Why did this shotgun shell go to frickin' Mars and then come back? It rolled? I don't know if I can recreate this. There's like something here that's making them fly into the air.
Daily to 27, total to 72.
Sounds about right. Alright, who's next?
Boss 12.
Right. I will say that I like that it's semi-auto. You also get just a mountain of shells in this thing. It's a looker. I mean, this is like the quintessential shotgun. So many guns include this, or so many games include this gun. But, you know, you can't just go down to frickin' sport goods store and go, hey, yes, can I get Spas 12? No, you go down to, like, Ian McCollum, and it's like, hey, can you let me into your secret chamber where you keep all the cool stuff? And then he walks you past his Gauss rifle. He had a Gauss rifle. I don't know why. That's the world we live in now. No, but it's mean and imposing looking. So it gets a 10 there.
Practicality.
There are so many better shotguns to run if you want to run a shotgun such as this. You're really just running this so that way you can go, haha, look, I have the gun from Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, it was in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, this was their anti-Velociraptor frickin'...
I've never heard someone call it like that.
That is apparently the Australian pronunciation.
Velociraptor.
Velociraptor.
Alright. I've never heard it like that.
It's like how they call it aluminium.
Oh, I hate it.
I know.
The Predator 12 gauge costs a whole $42,000.
Yep.
So that brings our daily to 26 and our total to 65.
Yay! I don't know why I put you all the way at the other end.
Alright. Next is good old Jocelyn. Over-under double barrel.
I actually quite liked this thing. Anyways, let's go ahead and... I actually like this recoil impulse. Okay, I've fired enough. This is about actually how I ran it in the game. Short barrel, full stock. Because you could get the pouch that increased the ammo capacity. Because I guess it's just canonical that you just carry all of the necessary ammo in your pockets. Like, the side-by-side is like a working man's rifle. This is like... Oh, I'm hunting quail in the British countryside. Tally-ho! Later we'll have our slaves brew tea, because that's kind of the vibe I get from these kinds of classy things, is that was the era they were running, and holy shit. And cool factor, this one isn't as, like, ubiquitous as the side-by-side, but it's still kind of celebrated and appreciated pretty healthily, so I'll give it an 8. Alright, let's talk features. You can put a pouch on it, you can saw it down, we've done it. What did I give the Mosconi? 3?
2.
2. This is a 3, because you could slap a pouch on it. Why can't you slap a pouch onto that? I don't know. Practicality. It is, once again, a double barrel. What did I give the Mosconi for practicality?
7.
That feels right. I will also give this a 7. And how many clown dollars are we talking?
920K.
Holy shit. No, that's like a 2. Fuck.
That brings our daily to 28 and our total to 71.
Oh, that actually did better than I thought.
Next up is the M1014.
Yep. Which it's actually called the M1014 IRL, so that's interesting. Normally, this game doesn't, you know, give things their real name. There are very few guns that have their real name. So, I already know I like this thing. All of my I can't see any of my frickin' targets, man. That's about how I ran it on Death Sentence. It costs money in Payday to push the stock in. Can we discuss that? It starts like this, and there's a short stock mod that is just this. Looks, I'm gonna be controversial for a hot second. This is gorgeous. This might be one of my favorite like shotgun looks. It's, I don't know. It's the looks of a pump action, but you don't have to pump it, so you can just go. Which is always a treat, because the difficulties this thing really rocks are the ones where they're like, hey, we got a big guy with a minigun. It's like, where'd he get it? Did Dad let him have it?
Brings us up to daily of 35, total of 76. Close, but no cigar, still under the Remington 870.
That's fine.
One that you've covered many, many times already, the Kel-Tec KSG.
This shotgun does something that I don't know how I feel about it, other than it kind of grosses me out. So, the KSG has two shell tubes, and you switch between them with this here lever. What Payday does, bless its heart, is in-game it has one shell tube. That's just twice the length. And wasn't the original version of the skill that gives mag-fed shotguns more ammo? It was all shotguns? Do you remember?
Yeah, something
so
like
this
that.
thing could carry like something like 36 shells without having to reload.
But then you had to sit there and, just
reload 36 shells
once they were empty.
And then now you flip over to your other tube and pump, and you are good to go. That's a lot of shells. This is quite the arm workout. Looks, once you put irons on it and a foregrip, it is actually quite handsome. Yeah, the recoil is fine. I just don't like this system. I'd rather just take one tube. Fun factor, you get a lot of shells. And you can kind of just dump them wherever you need them, which is always fun. So I'll give that an 8. Cool factor, like the DP-12 is the only other gun that works like this, and that's a double barrel. And it was apparently made because like there were problems importing the SPAS now, so they made the DP-12, I guess. A YouTube comment tried to explain it, and I glanced at it half awake, and then that was it. So apologies. I'll give it a 5 for cool.
That brings our daily to 24 and our total to 60. So far, the lowest of the bunch.
Wow.
Double A12.
I had a feeling. This looks stupid.
Yeah, with the straight mag, it doesn't look good.
Better. I've got to say, the game has a bazillion akimbo weapons, so kudos to them for not making this a secondary, so they wouldn't have to do this, which you can do in real life because there are so many like recoil springs that you can fire 2 of these at once and it's not a problem. It's very chaotic. It weaves and bobs around, but it doesn't lose sight of whatever you're aiming at, and that's a 10 in my book. Flawed is a 10. I don't need to say anything else. This thing is nuts. I fired 2 of them. What more do you want me to do? You go to the Webster's Dictionary, you look up the word fun. Definition 1, it's just a picture of an AA-12.
That still brings us to a very astounding 46 on the weekend.
Just 4 points short of perfection.
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk features. You can put a sight on it.
Yeah.
I want to say that and the barrel extension are it. Or the regular box magazine.
Yeah, it starts with the regular box. You can get a barrel extension, gadget, magazine, and sight.
Yep, that's a 4.
That brings us to a daily of 27 and a total of 73, which is just barely above the Moscone.
Wow.
Next is the Breaker 12 gauge, good old Winchester 1887.
I totally forgot about this thing, I'll be honest.
I didn't, because I love lever actions, but I hate the gun in the game.
Yeah. That's why I forgot about it, truly. So, it fires 6 shells. And they did this just because they're like, oh wow, look at how cool Ron Perlman is. We're never gonna get him back, so we're gonna make him cool. Hold on. There we go. There we go. I don't know. Yeah, like, this thing does Moscone level damage, but the problem is, 1, its pickup rate is atrocious. 2, it's just not good. Like, the damage is all it has going for it. I don't know, it's handsome. I'll give it an 8 for looks, and an 8 for acceleration as well, because of course it's gonna get 8. Yeah. Have you not seen the format with Shotgun Town yet? Handling. Let's fire this like normal people for a second. I don't like the recoil. Let me grab the one that has a stock. It might just be because it doesn't have a stock. There we go. I don't like the irons either. Okay, with a stock, it has like virtually no recoil, but nobody's firing it this way. Quality, that, okay. I don't imagine these are super, like, flimsy, but when this shit breaks, you gotta know what all this is. That's a lot of pieces.
Then practicality now.
They really bonked this thing up in the game. I am so sorry.
They really did. They didn't need to butcher it as hard as they did.
They wanted it to be super crazy high damage with a big magazine, so that way you're like, whoa, I need rust! And then you get him. And first of all, Ron Perlman's performance just isn't good. And it's because they didn't direct him. Effectively, they're just like, yeah, just play the character like your character on Sons of Anarchy. Just be a cool guy. And that was it. They gave him like a few pages worth of lines to read, and that as direction.
Yeah.
And they didn't ask for any retakes, from what I understand, unless he just completely flubbed a line. If the performance was kind of not what they were looking for, they didn't care. You had Ron Perlman in your office. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, whoa. So they didn't... So he's just not a good or compelling character. At all. And then then like his gun, which is his like whole like claim to fame, and like here is his whole character arc in one weapon. Sucks. Its pickup rate is atrocious. Its stability is garbage. Its accuracy sits in a weird mid-ground between not accurate enough to be a good like slug weapon, but not inaccurate enough to be a good buckshot weapon. Its pickup rate, its reload, and it's just... It gets a 4.
Well, that brings us to a 26 on the daily and 62 on the total. Just throw it right off the table. It's not even... It's below everything. Good enough.
Alright, well, time to throw this away. Oh no, I've knocked that onto the ground, and I'm never going to fix it, because that's where it belongs.
Yeah. Next is the Winchester Model 1897, or the trench gun.
Yeah, well, it's the 1897 trench.
Yeah.
It's this configuration with the barrel shroud. What is this called in the game?
The Reinfeld 88.
Not to be confused with the Reinfeld 880.
That's annoying.
Yeah, the next one is going to be just as bad, too. Dan, I must confess my sins. I almost bought the pack that this comes in.
Just for the trench gun?
Yeah.
That's... Honestly, I do it. French gun slaps.
Yeah, but I don't know how much Payday I'm gonna play. Once I'm done with this video, I might play it more regularly than I had in 2021, which is to say I've played it, but I might boot it up every now and then, that's it. I don't need to spend $5 on this. The game already has so many other shotguns, as evidenced here. I own all of these. We'll contend with all of these rankings one day. Alright, so fun party trick. Hold down the trigger, pump back, and you can slam fire it because it lacks a trigger disconnect. Germany hated this so much they almost got this classified as a war crime. Shotguns almost became banned in warfare. And you know how the Allied powers responded?
No.
You're using fucking chemical weapons, guys. Handling. Let's see that recoil. Let's fire this like normal people. This is fantastic when you're not slam firing it. The moment you start slam firing it, it kind of just becomes unwieldy. This is the range that you slam fire in. How much circus?
581.
That's not bad. That's not good. That's like a 5.
That brings our daily to 33, our total to 78. Just below the Rheinfeld.
The Rheinfeld is just below the Rheinfeld. Heck yeah.
Well, then we're going to finish this off with the Mosconi 12 gauge or the Mossberg 590.
No, it's not the Mosconi 12 gauge. Read that again.
Mosconi 12 gauge tactical.
Yep, and somehow this game only has one 590, and it is this one, which we had out earlier. Whoops. See, I don't know why. They've gone through the trouble to... Yeah, they're like, hey, here's the Mosconi 12 gauge, and the Mosconi Tactical 12 gauge, and the Rheinfeld 880, and the Rheinfeld 88. Are they running out of names?
Evidently, yes.
Crazy ammo capacity on this thing. Wow. It feels like they're really trying to expand the world of Payday every time they're like, oh, here's another Bernetti, here's another Mosconi, here's another Shimano. Overkill's The Walking Dead included the Bernetti. It is neat that they've come back around to this aesthetic. I'll give them that. Only took them a few years and, you know, a segue through cowboy and medieval for some reason, and World War and quasi-future and the fucking Elon Musk flamethrower.
Yeah, I remember the Elon Musk flamethrower.
They added another version of that for one of their anniversary events that fired money from your offshore bank account.
Yeah, sounds
and
about right.
There was a challenge related to players spending so much money on the Cash Blaster to kill an amount of enemies, I think, on certain maps and in certain locations to unlock trinkets related to the various years the game's been in development. So I'll go ahead and I'll give it a 9. We're back to the basics here. Acceleration is 8.
All right, that brings the daily to 34 and the total to 77.
That sounds about right. What an eclectic bunch. You've got, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You have, let's do some fun experiments. You have, let's go a little old school. And then you have the freaks. And then there's probably some other one, but it's probably not important. They really started with their best foot forward, didn't they?
Yeah.
You got the Saiga, you got the Rheinfeld. You literally don't need any other shotguns. Maybe the M1014 for, like, death sentence, but that's, like, it. Moscone is kind of fun for like crit builds and things, but like you got these. What more could you want? This is, I mean, I started writing the script in October, technically, but like, this is a wicked fast turnaround for a project of this caliber. I kind of just destroyed the middle, and that's it.
Yeah.
Who likes sniper rifles? I thought they were just okay, and then they added Graze, which produces this big, like, 2-meter long, like, cylinder of pain between your target and you, and anybody standing around him just dies. And that just, like, way overcomplicated sniper rifles, so at this point I kind of just run the, Gallant rifle, and that works. But, you know, there's a lot of them, so I figured, hey, let's just go through them. Because there are some interesting ones, and there are some choices here. Oh, there's some choices here. What's our first one?
The first one is the Mosin Nagant M1907.
Oh, right. Okay, so we don't get to touch the sniper pack at all, because none of those guns are in this game. The Rattlesnake isn't in here, the R93 isn't in here. The closest anti-material weapon we have is probably the Hec-8, and even then, that one's kind of debatable. I'm surprised they haven't added a Hec-8. Like, there are no free alternatives to the Thanatos, which is weird. This one kind of looks right. And I'm gonna run it with iron sights, even though it can take well, the one in the game can take a scope. So this is the Nagant rifle. This was actually a sniper rifle I was like a big fan of when they added it, because you didn't have to put a big stupid scope on it. You could actually fire it from the irons. And the irons in the game were pretty good. It's missing something. It is the only gun in Payday 2 that you could attach a bayonet to. And then you have to use the weapon butt melee weapon, and then now it does slightly more damage, and that's it. I don't get it. Didn't this thing also have like a suppressor where they just like wrapped the barrel in cloth? So with that in mind, looks, this is, I mean, it's an undisputed classic. The model here is a little scuffed up, but it's a rugged beauty. I give this a 9. It's lovely. Let's talk features. You can remove the scope, you can put on a different scope, you can shorten the barrel, you can lengthen the barrel, you can wrap the barrel in cloth. There's something, I believe it can take a, like, I might be thinking of a different gun, but I think it's got like a discrete set that increases concealment where they just paint it black. Don't know what that's all about. And then the bayonet. There are so many concessions with the bayonet that I just don't understand. It decreases concealment, but it increases melee damage, but it only increases the weapon butt melee damage, because instead of going boom, you go boom. But why not just take a better melee weapon? Like, even when that pack came out, you had the Spear of Freedom. You could stab somebody with the American flag.
I forgot about the Spear of Freedom, honestly.
I didn't. And then, if you just waited a little while longer, Jiro came out and came with the Katana, which is still the game's best melee weapon. It's the fastest, and it does great damage. It doesn't set enemies on fire like the Golden Giant Spoon, but it is
the most absurd thing in this game.
Well, it's because of a joke. Maria, at long last, made his mark on the game and memed a melee weapon into existence. He's been making Payday memes for so long, and at long last, one of them stuck. Other than, I think he was partly to blame, though, for all of the medic bag jokes. Up to and including, superimposing the word medic bag onto a yacht. I don't know. I have some thoughts about modern Payday fandom, but that's what the essay is for. You dip, so go watch that. At the time, there weren't that many melee weapons, so I guess it seemed like a decent idea then. I don't know. Like, at this point, buff the bayonet, because I think it only increases melee damage from, like, 30 up to, like, 100. And that's it. Like, put it up into, like a 200 damage category, and then just effectively make the melee... Just make it a reskin of the Spear of Freedom. Like, there's no reason to run the Spear of Freedom when you have the Rezkoi and the Tonto and the Katana and the Ice Pick and El Verdugo. But at the very least, it gives it slightly more utility than it has right now. Otherwise, there's no reason to run the bayonet other than it's a fun addition. And it's not even that fun. It's just being able to go, ooh, look, it's a one-of-a-kind melee weapon attachment for a gun.
That brings us up to 34 on daily, 77 in total. Good start.
Nice.
Next is the Winchester Model 1873.
Which we have on the dot. What are your thoughts on the Cowboy Pack?
It was weird, but I have a major soft spot for lever actions, though. It felt like a pack that didn't need to exist. It didn't need to be here.
I got that vibe just from the fact that the trailer was
That's FM.
Yeah, it was done in Source Filmmaker by a fan they hired.
Yeah.
Like, I got the feeling that this wasn't like a super high priority, but one of their artists was just like, I'm just gonna build a cowboy gun. And Almir looked over like, hey, that looks pretty good. We could do an entire cowboy pack. He should have done the trailer just like standing in the Overkill office, but wearing a cowboy hat. And then he opens with "Yeehaw, heisters," and that should have been the trailer. I mean, they did a weirdly decent job of recreating the revolver ocelot spinning the revolvers around with the. If I'm remembering that trailer correctly, I think a cloaker like spins a bunch of revolvers around.
Yeah, he does.
And then somebody's just like.
Wolf just shoots him in the head with an arrow.
Oh, it's with the arrow. I thought it was with this.
No. Just shoots him in the head with an arrow.
Right, they added a fucking bow with that pack. I actually ran the Plains Rider unironically for a decently long time. Christ. But no, like, this was a weird era for the game where all of the packs didn't feel like they needed to exist. And they were all, like, weirdly themed. It's like, oh, here's a cowboy one. Here's a ninja one. The ninja one didn't make sense. None of the guns, like, belonged together. And the only thing that kind of held some of them together was some of the weapons were poisoned. Like, that whole pack was just, I don't know.
Yeah, the ninja pack just kind of fell apart because there wasn't really any cohesion.
And then there was the barbecue pack, which was just, like, an excuse for them to put incendiary rounds in the game.
Okay, but in all fairness, in defense of the barbecue pack, the song it came with slapped, and I had that as my menu theme for like a year.
It is still my menu theme. Flames of Love is, again, like, Simon is such a fantastic artist. And he, like, all of these songs that in any other game would have just been, like, licensed, Simon went through the trouble to write in all of these different styles. They actually had a band recording all in the same room for Flames of Love, which is wild. Like, I don't know, he went through too much effort for a game like this. It's
fantastic because, like, it feels genuine.
Yeah.
The song itself. It feels like you'd find it in, like, a 60s, 70s diner.
It's because of how they recorded it. And, they tracked down actual vintage instruments, and, like, the recording techniques of the time were all pretty much there, just kind of digitized. Like, they went through so much trouble for this little game. And, like, all of these songs, like, fit the world, and they don't sound like they were written bespoke for the game until you step back and realize every other line in that song is about setting something or somebody on fire. Metaphorically or not.
Yeah.
That pack came with a flamethrower. The flamethrowers in this game are just nonsense. We're not even going to touch them. It came with a grenade launcher that sucked. It came with a shotgun that didn't really work that well because the damage was non-existent. And then incendiary rounds. And then they had another themed pack, and it was like right on the tip of my tongue. The Chivalry pack. What? The rounds are at least tracers, so I can see where I'm aiming. So many of these bullets have just bounced right off of the floor. Okay. Oh, and it doesn't come with a, Oh, wait. There's a longer version. I was like, this looks a little short. You actually can fire it like that in the... I just broke that mug. You actually can fire it like that in the game. I was hoping we had the stupid sight, but we don't. Okay, we'll fire this one now. Will being longer save this? No. Oh, it actually takes way more rounds. Which makes sense. I hate these irons. So I'm lining up the top of this post with the tops of these, like, hooks, and then I'm aiming slightly above them, and I'm actually landing the shots I want. It's just kind of a mess. It's kind of just hard to fire in this manner. I don't know. This is a lot of work. It's neat, but that's about it. Whereas this kind of just is a lot simpler in execution, but these sights, man, there's like no recoil on this. Most of the actual like recoil comes from trying to work the lever, and thus you lose what you're aiming at for a second. Which I guess is fine, but that's really it in terms of recoil. I'll give it a 7. I feel like recoil is fantastic, but the fact that like the actual motion of reloading the gun introduces all of this movement becomes a problem. Fun factor, you get to be a cowboy, baby. That's like an 8. It's a 7 because the sights aren't great, and the scope that this thing could also take is not fun either. There was so many more, like, it was nothing but up from the Henry rimfire. Like, later, we got, in 1894, we got this thing, which fires 44 Magnum. And you load it up. Sights are better, and blam! Like, I don't know, like, this thing started, I broke the plate! I'm just gonna push all this broken porcelain onto the ground. I feel bad about that, but also, like, Anton doesn't give me a way to pick up the virtual cups and plates that are here, so whatever. So I'll give it a 9 for cool. Let's talk features. I think it's just the barrel can be changed. You can add a scope to it, and I think you can cut down the stock. I think that's actually it. I don't even think it could take a gadget. Yeah, so that's a 4. Comfort, it's a straight line that you just hold on to for dear life. That's also a 4.
That brings our daily to 26 and total to 62.
Yep.
Good old WA2K.
Nice. This was in the Ninja Pack, wasn't it?
It was, and I use this thing a lot. I very much enjoyed using this, actually.
Really begs the question as to why it was in the Ninja Pack.
It's not exactly stealthy. It doesn't come with the silencer, I don't think.
You can equip one.
Can you?
Yeah. It's a lot less handsome when you do this.
Okay, but you're calling me out because that's how I used it.
Dude, between the sound effect of shooting all those rounds and how fast the targets flipped and how I couldn't see what I was doing because of the frickin' reflex sight, that was kind of hype. There's actually more targets out here that we can shoot. I was wondering if you could break that. Looks. This might be, and I might be biased, this might be one of the most handsome firearms ever. And it's because they over-engineered the hell out of this thing. They wanted to make, like, the ultimate, like, military rifle. And they effectively made the Mac Pro of rifles. And that it was only very good at a very specific subsection of things. And it cost way too much money to be, like, a daily driver. So it just became this weird enthusiast piece. It's not for shooting, it's for looking at. And for that, it gets a 10. Fun factor is a 10. You get to be Agent 47. Like, for fuck's sake, this thing is awesome. It's funny, so many of the sniper rifles have bipods, but you can't deploy them. Like, all the LMGs you can attach a bipod to. Part of me wonders, like, if they couldn't, like, now just add bipod support to the rifles and just use all their bipod code. Because that'd actually make the Thanatos, like, good. I mean, it does a ridiculous amount of damage, but, like, the amount of recoil on the thing is just, like, blam. But, you know, if you could drop it down somewhere and then it goes boom. Like, I don't know. How much did this thing cost? It's gonna be a big number, isn't it?
$749.
That is way smaller of a number than I anticipated.
That brings our daily 29, total is 74.
Still pretty good.
Good old Platypus 90 came with Bodhi, used the Winchester model in 70.
Yeah. So, he has a Model 70. The problem is, it has a third-party magazine mod. It's actually, there is a gun that's almost exactly like the one he uses. And it's the Sako 85. The problem with the Sako, actually, never mind. I was about to say, is you can't equip a scope, but it has a rail. We might actually use this. It's a little smaller overall, but we have the magazine. They sound exactly the same, so I don't think it's gonna make that big of a difference. I don't think people are gonna be freaking out that I'm gonna be using a Sako as opposed to the Model 70. Plus, we can, you know, attach a scope to it, or we can not. We can do this. Lord knows why. Actually, we can make this worse. I think in this case, it is a fine enough substitution. Yeah, no, this thing's actually astoundingly good. But we'll fire it. We'll talk about this. Alright. I love the look of the Model 70. I don't know about you. It's very timeless. It feels like it could have come from any era. Let's talk features. It can take a gadget and a sight and a barrel extension, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's once again a 4. I mean, what else would you want to do to a sniper rifle? I don't know.
And that brings us to a weekend of 42, a daily of 29, and total of 71.
Wow. What do we fire in next?
Is the contractor. Use the Wick Volt.
Okay, so this one's an interesting predicament. So we'll grab the one from the vault file, but what the contractor is based on is this. This is the Terran Industries like TTI Ultralight something, and it's just like their own weird version of an AR-15 that's kind of tacticaled out. How, like, the one in Payday 2 was built like an AR-10, which is interesting. This is the predecessor to the AR-15, although once the AR-15 became popular, they scaled an AR-15 back up to be the AR-10 to replace this AR-10, and I don't understand what happened there. But then the one in the game is chambered in .308, so I don't even know what's happening.
Magazine of 20, total ammo of 40. You got 2 mags, that's it.
That sounds like a fun challenge to me. So yeah, this is our contractor. will say the recoil's pretty good. Just trying to leave mental notes for myself. So, looks. It's very John Wick. Weapons in John Wick, especially John's guns, have a very particular look to them. Like they're trying too hard to be cool, but they almost kind of wrap back around and become cool as a result. It's like the Shadow the Hedgehog of firearms.
That's an amazing way to put it, actually.
Like,
fantastic way of putting it.
Yeah, god damn it, you're trying way too hard to make me go, wow! But the fact that you went through all this trouble just makes me go, wow! So, I'll give it an 8. It's not really my cup of tea, but somebody likes it. This thing keeps appearing in video games. It's in Fortnite. It's neat that this has had this much, like, cultural staying power, given that John Wick 2 is only, like, what, 6 or 7 years old?
Yeah.
So, that's kind of neat.
Alright, this costs $773,000.
That's weird, given what it is. Is that how much it costs to steal one from the set? So what is that?
That brings us up to 33 on the daily, 70 in the total.
Wow.
This is the SVD Dragunov.
Right. They went through a weird phase of being like, yeah, we'll just include just battle rifles. These are our new snipers. And you know what? This thing is actually really good. I quite like this every time we fire it. It's kind of a nice spin on, you know, the AK formula, which I am a fan of them doing things like this. So we'll just start now. In terms of looks, this is it's kind of an endearingly fugly AK. I kind of like some of the lines, but it's also a little goofy looking. That's an 8. Keep in mind, between June 1st, 2019 and, like, now, I clocked a whopping 2 hours in this game, and that's it. So many people still ask me for build advice, and so many people are still like, man, like, you make such good videos. It's like, hi, I have not played this game in ages. Alright, comfort. You have a big fat you got this big fat wooden deck to hang out on. And that's really it. Practicality, though? I don't know, man. How much money does this cost? Am I gonna regret saying that? It's probably
921K.
That is a lot.
That brings the Dragunov up to 31 on daily, 67 in total.
That's actually not as bad as I thought. Still not great. Alright, and now we're into our last one, because they've added some sense, and this is the only one I think I can shoot.
The Marlin Model 1895 used the Rio Brig Bore.
Yeah. So they've added another lever action. And actually they've added a couple other sniper rifles, like contemporary ones. If you remember the Desert Fox, they've added another sniper rifle that looks almost exactly like it. I don't know why there are now 2, but they've added this modern lever action to the game, which begs the question, why? It doesn't look exactly like this one. This one's very obviously like tacticaled out with the brass knuckle lever. At least they have an opportunity to make the sights not suck. Alright, the actual lever action that's in the game is very it's kind of like a clean contemporary version of something like that. It's probably like most akin to almost something like this, but just like synthetic furniture as opposed to the wooden. Okay, so yeah, this isn't exactly a dead ringer. It is very like steel and plastic, but we don't have that option in H3, and I just wanted to talk about this is a modern lever action. Just, you know, kind of goofed up. So, I can't... We'll just have to gesture vaguely at the air for this one. Looks. I actually do like the look. The steel and the plastic. The steel and synthetic look is super nice. I like how the irons look. It's just decent. I'll give it an 8. Acceleration. It is along the weaker sniper rifles, and this thing fires 4570, so that's a pretty decently powerful round. I'll meet it somewhere in the middle. That's gonna be another 8. No, you know it's 7. It is one of the weaker sniper rifles. So, game balance in this case will step in and help us a bit.
Alright, that brings our daily up to 29 and our total of 61.
Yeah. So we've really learned something today. And that is don't use a lever action. So this is assault rifles. This isn't one of them. We'll go ahead and you know this. We're not covering this. It's technically not correct, but it's fine. We finally made it to assault rifles.
I've been dreading this for a while.
I was dreading this since the moment I wrote it. So which one?
AKS 74.
AKS 74?
Yeah.
If I opt for the AK 74, God, that is massive.
That is humongous. Wow.
We are already off to a fantastic start, and that is emblematic of how the rest of this video will hopefully not go.
Yep.
So this is gonna be our regular AK rifle. You unlock this at like level 1, right?
Somewhere along those lines. It's really early.
Because the Car 4 is level 4. The game hands you like all the good daily drivers like super early, because the crosskill's like level it's no later than level 7. And honestly, because of how ridiculous the leveling up curve is, you're gonna be at level 7 after like 2 missions. So you can just grab the AK rifle and the crosskill and be set. You have everything you need. Yeah, just a heads up for people who want to use a variable bitrate. CQP is great, but lower means better quality, and you have lossless video the moment you go below 14. I recorded 3 hours at quality 12. I effectively had the finest looking Proteus footage humanity has ever seen. 150 gigs. Anyways, we're gonna shoot an AK now. Were you Team Car 4 or Team AK?
Me?
Yeah. Also, where did that magazine go? I think I sent a magazine to fucking Saturn.
I think you did. I want to say that my first couple hours playing Payday ever, I was Team UAR.
Oh! Hello, fellow weirdo. I was Team Queen's Wrath.
Okay, the Queen's Wrath slaps. I love the
it is objective.
L85.
We'll talk about it.
I love the L85, even though it's garbage.
We'll talk about it when we get there. But the Queen's Wrath in Payday 2 was objectively worse than the Car 4. I just didn't want to use the Car 4.
I like the aesthetic of the Queen's Wrath. That was it.
Okay. It's an AK. I don't know why we're doing all of this. It's an AK. No, but seriously, like, where did that magazine go? You know, you broke a part of it? Goofball, it's made out of frickin' sheet metal. Somebody made an AK out of shovels. They made an AK out of shovels.
That brings our daily to 44 with a grand total of 83, which is now the highest of the entire list.
Okay, let me grab my sparklers. Yeah, baby! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about! We've done this bit too many times.
Yeah, I bet.
Oh, you can have that. Let's pick up the lighter. Did you enjoy that? I hope you did. You deserved it.
AUG.
The AUG.
Yeah, that's
I can already tell I'm
accurate.
not gonna like these.
That's more accurate.
Okay. You're still on the wiki. This one you can do the full auto and the semi-auto mods too, right?
Yes.
That doesn't make sense. Because watch. One round, and I just keep pulling the trigger down, and now it's full auto. It doesn't have a regular trigger. It's got this weird dual stage thing. You know, I should talk these irons, but they're actually not that bad. Yeah, this one's just a little more handsome. It's... I like the foregrip, and then I like the angles on the scope. I just think the lines are a lot more interesting here. This one's kind of stuck between trying to be straight lines and trying to be curved lines. This one kind of knows its business. Practicality. Just bring the M4.
Alright, that brings our daily to 24 for a grand total of 48.
Okay!
Next is the AKM.
Oh, we're already getting in the AK-762.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have this one gold encrusted and covered in diamonds. That's weird, right? Like, nowadays, surely there's gotta be a new fan that's wondering, why is there... Because gold is one of the weapon colors. There's a lot of weirdness. Like, gold is weapon color, but there's a gold AK that's different from the regular AK. Jacket's piece isn't a skin. Immortal Python is a skin for everything, even the weapon colors kind of fill that role. Like, there's just... the UI in this game, and the user experience is just chaotic. And it's because the game is old as hell, and they just keep slapping stuff on top, like, Les Petites, Maisons, what is that one? It's the short film about the old man, and he goes fishing in his house, and there's a house under his house, and he keeps, like, scuba diving lower and lower, because he's trying to retrieve, like, pictures of what life used to be like before the flooding. Put the name of that short film on the screen. I love it dearly, and it fucking tore a hole in me when I first saw it. Tangent myself too deep, but then I have to get back out. It's like that short film.
You could just slap this one on top of the other one because they're both 83.
Wowie! It's almost like, you know.
M14.
So this is the M308. You might notice it looks kind of handsome. That's because we're using the regular M14 and not the M14 EBR, which is a gun so horrid Anton refuses to put it in this game. It's an M14 that's only eaten pudding cups for about 6 years. So, we're using the Chad one, which is fine. You know what's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's even in Payday. And I'll give you this. If you can somehow make full auto M308 work, it is probably almost the most terrifying thing in the game. The M308's rate of fire is nuts. There's no reason to fire at full auto. Most people just set it to single. It's a DMR. It doesn't need to be full auto. Knock knock, who's there? The bastards who set it to full auto and leave it there. Yeah. I must admit, I was one of them for a short while.
It just melts if you're at the right range.
I think for a while, like for probably about a span of about a month, my go-to build was full auto locked M308, the GSPS, and Sociopath.
Yeah.
It was just madness and mania the whole way through. I was mostly using the Ithaca and the Katana to slice people up, and then once I had gotten a ton of ammo for the M308, I would switch to it, and then I would just shred. Don't play the game like that. It was actually not... It was quite awful. Alright. Alright, so we've got to talk about the M308 as it appears in the game, which is difficult to do because we don't have access to the M14 EBR, but the actual M308 or the M14 EBR it's like a 4 in terms of looks. Acceleration, it's 7.62 NATO and it's pretty dang punchy. The fact that it can do full auto is a little terrifying. I'll give it a 9 in terms of acceleration.
That brings our daily to 28 and a total of 63.
Nice.
The AK-5.
Ah, yes. That thing that weirded everybody out, because it doesn't look like an AK. And the reason it doesn't look like an AK is because it's not an AK.
Some like Mega Block style stock.
It is a very Mega Blocks.
Why is the whole thing like forest green?
Because it is. Oh, these sights are not fantastic. I kind of dig this funky little thing. It's very different, but kind of in an endearing way. I'll give it a 6 for looks. Practicality though, it's kind of just the M4 for weirdos. In that regard, it's not offensive. I'm just not sure why you would pick this. I'll give it a 7. How much does it cost?
This is 749.
Fuck.
Brings our daily to 30, total to 58.
Okay.
The AMR 16, or the good old M16A4. No, it's like that size.
Okay, well... Alright, keep this picture in your head. Okay, this is interesting because this actually doesn't do full auto. It's safe, semi, and burst. Although, let's be real, this gun is really asking for not fire like that, but fire like this. In other words, just how I play take and hold.
Yeah.
Style, it is pretty lovely. It's that gun. We all know this one. I'll give it a 9 in terms of style. I'm not the biggest fan of the M4, the M16, like Armalite pattern. I think it's a little goofy looking, but I'm not going to hold it against it that much. I'll give it a 9. I will say, I think the M4's barrel length feels a little more sensible. Let's talk, this gun's like 50 bajillion features. There are a lot.
This gun has different barrels, extension, boost, custom foregrip, gadget grip, lower receiver magazine, sight, upper receiver,
Yep.
stock.
You can effectively make whatever gun you want.
There is enough mods that I actually had to click an arrow to show more mods.
If Doug's score could do off the grids, baby, no, this is a 10.
Brings us up to 38 for a total of 74.
That's not awful.
Scar H, FM Scar H.
Probably don't want to fire this full. Well, I'll fire it in some full auto, and then I'm gonna switch it to semi after that. Yeah, that's not good. I like the look of the Scar rifles, I'll admit. They're very industrious. I'll give it a 7 for style. I'm gonna go ahead and give that not a good number for handling. Yeah, no, I'm gonna give that like a 5 for handling.
Alright. Brings us to 38 on daily and 69 in the total.
Nice.
Alright, next up is the FAL, Falcon Rifle. The wiki is not useful when you have to look up things very quickly.
No. This was the rifle from Big Bang, wasn't it?
Yeah. Added with the Big Bang, yep.
It was... When they're giving missions guns was super cool. And the Diamond Heist really kind of goofed that up.
What weapon did they give with the diamond?
None.
Oh.
It was the first heist that didn't come with a weapon. I need to stress for people who play the game now and didn't play it back then, Armored Transport came with 3 guns. The Scarface heist came with a weapon. But the Scarface character came with a different weapon. Like, just take a step back and imagine if, when Border Crossing came out, you got the Brunetti auto with it. You didn't have to buy a second DLC that contained it. I think it is at least neat now that you can, you know, kind of split those apart. If you just want the guns, then you don't need to buy the mission. But you used to get a lot more bang for your buck. Remember what they took from you. Oh, this is awful. I'm putting this on single.
Yeah, you can take a sight.
Okay, cool. I'm firing this one now. I hate those irons, and the recoil impulse is not good either. Handling is like a 3. I hate the recoil impulse on this so much. It is obnoxious. I'm very tempted to give this a bad score for the fun factor, just because the achievements to get the weapon mods all suck. Big Bank is fun until you have to, like, play it how they want you to play it for the achievements. Everything I read about them just sounded like hell. There's, like, the one where you have to stealth it in under a certain amount of time. That one,
yeah.
Disgusting.
Quite literally last played May 17th, 2020.
The achievements for Big Bank all blue chunks, and they make you leap through hoops to make this thing actually like halfway decent, which I don't like. You know what? I made it this far with the format and being straight-laced. I'm allowed a little bias on this kind of shit. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3 for fun. Fuck those achievements. How much does this cost?
Even with all the achievement nonsense, it's still 920k.
2. 1.
Still not as bad as the AUG, but if we were hit a resounding 50 on the dot.
50 out of 100. If you were a baseball player, that'd be pretty good. If you're a high school student, the teacher's very worried for you.
Next one is the FAMAS F1.
Right.
I unironically ran the Clarion for months just because I liked how it looked.
I ran the FAMAS for months because I liked its fire rate.
It's just like a bullet hose.
Haha, le facile go brrrr. It has a bipod. I feel like any of the guns that have bipods should allow you to deploy the bipod. Oh my god. The word of the day is stability. I don't know if I want to put my face this close to the ejection port.
Yeah.
That kind of seems a little troublesome. It's called the Clarion because I believe, I might be wrong about this, but I believe Clarion is French for like trumpet or bugle. And that's kind of the shape it's got.
Its in-game name is a reference to the Counter-Strike series, where the name of the FAMAS in said games is the Clarion 556, which is originally a misspelling of the actual weapon's nickname, Clarion, translated to English as bugle. French troops dubbed the rifle as such, as it having a similar profile to that of a bugle.
Yep. It's very goofy and fun. It's got a lot of kitsch, which I think any good weapon should have a little bit of kitsch.
Brings us to a daily of 23 and a total of 62.
Alright.
The Galil!
Oh, the thing I forgot existed.
Yeah.
What a ridiculous contraption. The bolt feels like it should just like put out puffs of cartoon steam, like a factory. S stands for full auto, and F stands for semi. It's AK style, which I anticipated, but the S and the F threw me off.
Yeah.
Oh, the Gecko. I legitimately did not remember that this gun was in the game. Oh god, I think I was reading the wiki and something was like, yeah, this can also be equipped in the Gecko 762, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And then I went to the page and I read it and I learned that it's old as hell. This was... Okay. I like the boxy look. It's very rugged. Yeah, so it's like a Bizarro AK. I'll give it a 6. It's got some kitsch, which is always a delight.
Brings our total up to 58.
Okay.
Gavir?
Oh, it's I used to pronounce it Gewer, but it's Gavir.
Gavir. All right. The G3A3.
This is another one where I just totally forgot that this was in the game, which is particularly egregious because This is just the gun I use in Counter-Strike. Yep, now you all know I am a filthy and horrible G3 scrub.
I mean, I literally only used one gun when I played, so...
A bunch of people get mad at people who use the semi-automatic sniper rifles. It's apparently paramount to cheating, and they will kick you from the server.
That's dumb.
Yeah, because it's a thing in the game. Although then again, I've heard horror stories that people get kicked from servers for not just running like exclusively the AK and the AWP.
Yeah.
This thing kicks like a horse. But I love the look. It is just an MP5 but big, and I love that. I truly do. It's inherently funny to me. So it's a 9 for style.
Assault kit sets ammo pickup to 6 to 12.6.
Maybe I should run the assault kit. Probably don't have it unlocked.
Yeah, it's a achievement thing.
What's the achievement?
So many choices. Own one of every gauge assault pack weapon.
Oh no, then I already have it. The game has so many achievements that are just like, own a thing. Press the spacebar once. You wore a mask.
Yeah. We thought the same thing at the same time.
I'm so glad. Okay, so you get a decent amount of options. I'll give it an 8 for features.
That brings us up to 73, which is still pretty good.
Wowee! I might actually have to try that one out.
It's fun in both forms.
Okay, cool. All three? Is one of them not good?
Oh yeah, I didn't really count the default as a form. Next is, we talked about this briefly. Einfeld L85.
Oh yeah!
It's a wonky looking gun, and it doesn't look like it should operate properly, but I still just love the aesthetic of it for some reason.
They kind of just slapped it together, yeah. Here's my favorite thing about its appearance in this game. So you know how like the carry handle on the M16, the M4, you have to attach it separately?
Yeah.
Anton hasn't updated this gun's model, so if you try to attach a sight, it disappears. I've got to say, through it all, I still think Clover might be one of my favorite characters they've added to the game. Like, they just went through the trouble to really give this character a lot of ethos with the rest of the crew, and I really do appreciate that. Like, I don't know, I feel like you could follow the trend of why is this character added to the crew dwindle. Starts low with John Wick, it's a movie tie-in. Hoxton needed to be in, and, you know, they made a big spectacle out of getting him back, which was awesome. Clover, like, you know, like Hoxton's, like, protege, and they have a bunch of, like, history that the game kind of goes into. She's relevant for the Diamond mission. A lot of fun. And then they were just like, Bonnie has info on the rat. Sydney just showed up one day. Duke.
Do we even know why they hired Jacket? Or did Jacket just kind of barge in?
We literally no idea. Ditto Scarface. Ethan's only a character in Payday because he got demonetized, and I guess when you get demonetized, you turn to mass murder. YouTube, don't take my money from me. Joy... They tried to justify why Joy was added to the crew during Icebreaker. But I can't remember what it was. This is a silly contraption, and I kind of dig it. I don't know if it's endearingly unique, or I just think the idea that this thing is just very shape is funny. Every time we talk about the L85, this thing comes rearing back, because we also need to discuss its progenitor, the EM2, which is very much kind of the same thing. I know a lot of people like the EM2, and by a lot of people, Jonathan Ferguson is like the only person I hear talk about it, but it's also here in the game. It's just... something in the beans just made him decide that this was the shape a rifle should be. I am going to give it, though, I'm going to give it an 8 for style. It has a lot of charm. It's like Aardman animation. It's endearingly ugly. And for cool, boy howdy, the Brits really goofed this one up. There was a bunch of, like, issues with the design. It was like causing problems, so they had to try to fix it, and they tried to fix it, and they tried to fix it, and eventually by the time that they had kind of built like the platonic ideal of what this gun wanted to be, the M4 had already become the default de facto rifle for the UK. So they fixed it a bit late.
Yeah.
So that's like a resounding 3.
Brings us up to a daily 26, total of 58.
Okay.
AS Val.
What the fuck is this? Anton, what are you finding? Where did this come from, Anton? This feels like a Team Fortress gun that escaped containment. Oh, that felt like a lot more than 20. What are your thoughts on Sokol?
I actually ran Sokol for quite a few months when he came out.
I'm not particularly a fan of Sokol, and it's because he's a gifted engineer who built the BFD, but he's also a professional hockey player.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like that should have been 2 separate characters. It's kind of goofy looking, and not in a very particularly appealing way. I don't know about you. It feels like they took like a cocktail napkin sketch of a gun and just put that straight to production. Handling is interesting. You know, despite using the stock being suppressed, it kicks around a disgusting amount. So I'm gonna give that a 5. It should just be better.
All right, that brings us up to 50. 2 points above the AUG.
Wow, I legitimately thought I was going to do worse.
Just because I feel like saying it. We're saying hello to our little friend.
Ah, yes. So this should be. I'm going to assemble what should be, and then we'll assemble the real thing. Again, this is the experience we're going for. All right. Got it in your head?
Yeah. Why does the underbarrel grenade launcher look bigger than the entire rifle?
Well, if this was the 417, it would have a longer barrel. Okay, so say hello to our little friend. Not quite what we were told we were getting. But you know what? Fine. If you're not gonna give me this, and you're just gonna give me this, you know what? Whatever. As long as it's a relatively light cartridge, low on damage, with a good pickup rate and a high rate of fire, it is none of those things. What did they do to this? It's like a DMR. Why would you combine a DMR and a grenade launcher?
That I genuinely never understood, because like after this pack came out, I was actually curious, and I watched clips from the Scarface movie, and like this is
you were waiting for you were waiting for the scene where he has to go. No, he goes, and he just keeps holding down the trigger. It's like this. But no, Starbreeze just full on shot the bed. It's a 20-round magazine DMR with a grenade launcher underneath. You can shoot it full auto. You don't want to shoot it full auto. Its pickup rate is atrocious. This, and what else is interesting? You can't get this gun anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. The pack is done. So, if you didn't get it before, you can't get Kingpin. You can't play as Tony. He's still in the safe house for some reason, and you can't get the little friend. You have to get the assault rifle with the electric grenade, which is a lighter cartridge and a faster fire rate and more ammo, but it's still like Eagle Heavy damage tiers. It's still like that like battle rifle category. They haven't done a light rifle with an underbarrel. The closest we have is the Kang Model 54, the Tokarev, and that thing sucks. And that's also a shotgun. What a what a wasted fucking opportunity. All right, and now we just gotta. All right, you will never get that grenade back ever again because the pickup rate, again, horrific. All right, let's talk style. I think the HK416/417 is a lovely looking gun. This isn't, you know, my problem is it's not this. This is you and the guy she tells you not to worry about. Like, this is the genuine article. I'm sorry, this one's a little different because we actually know what it should look like, so we can compare. It's like a 5 for style. It's fine. It has kind of its own flavor, but not well. Fun factor: you can ostensibly be Scarface. You can't actually be Scarface. This is what you're after, you know. You don't get that. Like, not at all. Like, literally none of that. So, for fun, it's like a 3. They just completely bonked it up. And for cool, like, I mean, this is one of the most iconic firearms in film history. This is up there with, like, the 1911 from the Titanic, the Golden Desert Eagle from Austin Powers, and every other instance of a Golden Desert Eagle. They're all using the Austin Powers prop. It's up there with the Pancor jackhammer in every single film appearance it's ever had. It has had so many. So many. So it's like it's a 7 for cool. But obviously it's not, you know, this is not that. Do we have a new winner?
It is tied with the AUG.
God damn it. Son of a bitch.
It's only because it was a Normalite pattern that it actually did well.
I know.
AK-12.
Oh, right. We'll dispose of this normally. You know, normal. I like the look of the AK-12. The actual, like, production model AK-12 is a very handsome weapon. It's like Razor made it a Kalashnikov. Let's talk features. This has the fewest mods of any of the AKs.
Barrel extension, gadget, grip, magazine, sight, stock.
That's it. And it's not even compatible with the other, like, AK mods, because they did a whole AK car mod pack. And it's compatible with none of that. Except for maybe the magazines and maybe the grips. Practicality, this is really only practical if you really just want to make an impression with an AK that the regular AK cannot fulfill. And for that, it's like a 7. How much does this cost?
This is pretty cheap, actually, at $350.
Pretty cheap, yeah. It's like a 6. 7. It's a 7.
Alright, that brings us up to 68, which is pretty impressive.
Not bad. It's not nice, but it's not bad.
Alright. Next up is your favorite. I think you know which one.
The Gallant Rifle?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah.
This is, I'm gonna say, this is the only assault rifle worth running in Payday. For H3VR folk, this game has a very interesting skill system, and one of the skills adds 15 rounds to a magazine. This counts as a magazine. So you could make this load 23 bullets. It can only fire single fire, but the rate of fire is like that. You can
It's
just,
as fast as you can pull, yeah.
yeah, it's as fast as you can pull the trigger, and the end result is you have just... This is terminally silly. I'm firing this thing like a 30-06 machine gun straight into enemy lines, and it stays topped up. I think this has the best pickup rate of any of the designated marksman rifles. It's just good. It is just astoundingly good. Like, its only drawback is that the ammo conservation isn't fantastic, and sometimes I run low, but then I just switch to my secondary, get a few kills, and I'm back up to the maximum of 83 rounds. And then I just, you know, I load 23 into the gun, and then I go ham. This is, without a doubt, my favorite gun in Payday 2. And the problem is, this wasn't meant for Payday. This was meant to sell people on Raid. And the thing is, I don't like the Garand in Raid. So, looks, it is a 10. It is just undoubtedly bewilderingly handsome. And it looks like this. And one of the weapon skins is just this, but like a different color wood. And I believe it was a community skin, so whoever added that, kudos to you. Holy crap.
Wow.
So the Garand fire is a bit of a bigger round. Have we had a 10 for acceleration so far?
At any point, or just assault rifles?
I know the grenade launchers all had 10s.
Yeah, the grenade
rockets,
launchers all had 10s, but...
And the rockets. But none of the other bullet-firing guns have had a 10.
I do not see any other caliber-wide ratings of 10.
It's unfortunate that the Thanatos is not in this game, because that would also be a 10. This is lovely. Yeah, so like this is the Barrett we have in H3, and it's super cool. The problem is it's semi-auto. So that's a bit unfortunate. I wish we had a bolt action one. We have we talked about this in the sniper section. We have the Heck 8. And it's unfortunate this isn't in Payday. You know what? They should do a free alternative to the Thanatos. That should be this. Oh, and then we also have this.
Are you kidding me?
No. Almir. Buddy.
Is that the Halo?
This isn't. It is indeed the sniper rifle from Halo. Because the sniper rifle from Halo is a real gun. It is the NTW-20. It was designed in South Africa, and it fires a pretty beefy round.
Jesus.
And, well, let me just, Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, Almir, we need a free alternative to the Thanatos. Fun factor, this is just the best gun in the game.
That brings us now up to 78.
Wowee. See, I'm not biased. I gave the Thompson in this relatively okay scores, but not the best.
Yeah.
Doug's score works. It just, takes an eternity to record, so we're never doing Doug's score again.
Yeah. The Car 4. M4A1.
Nice. We're finally getting around to the Car 4. Okay, I don't know if I need to fire any more of that.
Okay, let's take a look here. We got different barrels, barrel extension, boost, custom, exclusive set.
Yep, they've added that. They've added that back in like January. If you destroy a turret with the M4, you unlock the Longbore Car 4.
Yeah.
Which is effectively just a handful of mods. You remember legendary weapon skins? How they had unique mods? It's that.
Oh. Well, I'm so glad you explained it because the wiki has no idea what it is.
None. Because again, the people who are maintaining the wiki now don't even really have the money to actually buy the DLC, so a bunch of pages are blank. And I imagine it's because it's all the same children who are left playing the game.
Yeah. But we got exclusive set, foregrip, gadget, normal grip, lower receiver, magazine, sight stock, upper receiver.
Yep. You can change literally everything about this to make it an entirely new gun. It's a 10. It's obviously a 10. Jesus Christ, is this better? Did this score above the AK?
This is at 85. 2 above the AK.
Holy shit, man. You did it. You've done it. We would celebrate in style, but I don't want to blow the table up. Yay! Fireworks! I dropped the lighter. Yay, I totally missed it. It burned itself.
H&K G3, G36C.
Oh, the JP36.
Yeah.
So, it's this. But I'd be remiss if I didn't bust out the full-sized one. Because you can make it into the full-sized one. I swear to God, it has a long barrel, and then they added the classic sight, which is this monstrosity. which takes up your whole screen in the game and is thus funny. And then this is also just the XM8, but in a reasonable plastic housing. In its default configuration, it is very handsome. It's tiny and small, and I do like it. I'll give it an 8. It's a very cool look.
Like, I feel like this, like, hold it up again. I feel like this is just kind of the silhouette you see when you think of, like, assault rifle in movies.
Yeah, and all of its cool factor is only hypothetical because the XM8 was going to replace this. The problem is nobody adopted the XM8, which is unfortunate because the XM8 is the iMac of guns. It was legacy free. Instead of Picatinny rails, it was all this PCAPS system, which was cool because you retained 0 even after you pulled the sight off and put it back on. Because the caps were always in the same place. It wasn't like, oh, you can slide it across the rail. No, it's just always steadfast in one spot. And you had caps back here for the sight, and you had caps along the barrel. You could swap out the barrel because the whole gun was made out of plastic tabs. You could just disassemble. It was a super cool idea, and then nobody adopted it. So it's like a 5. What could have been is so much more interesting than what actually became.
All right, that leads us up to a total score of 62.
Yay! That's okay.
Commando 553, so the SG 552.
Yep, that's a carbine. It's interesting. I think I'm actually ready to talk about it. I like the small. I like this thing. It kind of reminds me of like the MP5, but designed as a carbine. It's got a fun kitsch factor to it. I'll give it a 7. It's just not terribly fun. It's like a 4. And in terms of cool, I get it, but I don't know. This wasn't blazing trails or setting the world on fire. It's a 4 as well.
That brings us up to 64.
Hooray!
And finally, at long last, the bootleg.
The bootleg, yeah. What is this? Oh, a piece of garbage has just been sitting back here this whole time. Hey, this looks a little familiar. So for reasons I don't understand, and I don't even think I want to get into, this, the bootleg rifle, is an HK 416C. So it's a cut down version of the 416 that takes the Beta C double drum mag and isn't good. This gun sucks, but it is openly a bootleg weapon. And that's how you're supposed to fire it. This is the one gun where it's kind of designed with just hold down the trigger in mind, and that they give you a lot of rounds. Not in that it's actually good at sustained fire. It's not good at anything, honestly. I like the look. I do think it's fun. The HK sights are a delight. The Beta C drum mag is a little goofy. The foregrip is fine. I'll give this a resounding 6 in terms of... I'll give it a 7, actually, in terms of style. Fun factor, you just get a whole lot of rounds in the bootleg. If you like LMGs, but you don't like the damage or the shock and awe or the goodness factor of the LMG, here you go. You want an LMG but worse? We got it. Back when LMGs only had 40 damage to their name, I could see a case for this over those. But then they were just hey, LMGs now just have great damage and great pickup rates and good accuracy and stability. I mean, not fantastic, but this is pretty good. So there's really no reason not to run one. And I was like, fuck you, I'm running the Garand. Practicality, don't. There are so many concessions that were made to make this happen. The reload speed isn't great. The damage isn't good. The pickup rate isn't that good. It's just not worth it compared to the Car 4. It really sums up Sydney.
Yeah.
Not really looking forward to thinking things through. Kind of just slapping stuff together and watching what happens. Which is kind of how I...
loud. And being loud.
Which is kind of how I just played the game. So in a way, I am the bootleg. And I you know what? And afterward, I even made the comment that my videos were effectively just worse versions of Connor Shaw's. So my whole career has looped around on itself like a snake eating its own tail. I am the Ouroboros. That's a 5 for that's a 4 for practicality.
And that puts us up to 67 for the last of the assault rifles.
And the last of the guns. As of today. It's taken us like, I think, 2 months to get here, but we've
it's been a journey.
We've actually looked at every single gun that H3 and Payday have in common. Until they add new ones. And if they do, I'm not remaking this fucking video. Shut up. They already added the Max 9 while I worked on this video. Well, just recording these. And if they come out, like, March 28th, and like, oh, there's a new Zhufang smuggler pack, and it adds the, shit. Should have had this joke thought through before I started talking. If they're like, oh, we've added a new Zhufang smuggler pack, and we've added, I don't even know what they would call this if they put it in the game. I'm not adding more to this video. I've already edited everything. I've already recorded everything now. The video is done. Oh, we've added a shut the This project has been interesting. Honestly, one of the most frustrating things about this project wasn't even coming back to replay the game. It was simply just trying to keep this a secret, because I knew for a fact that if too many people knew that I was working on this project, that it would just invite the wrong crowd. And there's a good chance this video has already invited them back in. And I'm gonna get comments like, hey, I have a cool idea for a build you should showcase. Hey, are you gonna make a video about Leech? Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I don't... The point of we're still talking about Payday 2 is that I am so goddamn tired of the comments the videos have gotten, of people who still think I'm covering the game, people who either unknowingly or intentionally dodge the fact I haven't covered the game in years, and just think that the problem was I ran out of ideas. It's not. Winds of Change came out way too close to so much fucking personal grief that I didn't want to put this game back in my life. I went Infamous. I played Infamy, all of Infamy 26, and I mostly stuck to older missions, and I had a fun time. The problem is, I don't need to play this game anymore. And a lot of people see it as, oh, I'm burning money effectively. You know, these videos made good money. There might be more people who could subscribe to my stuff if I did more Payday stuff, but there can't be that many more. Whereas, if I branch out, the possibilities are potentially limitless. And that is the much more appealing thing. Being able to find and cultivate a bigger audience versus sticking with the same tired one that the game has had for years. The fact of the matter is that Payday 2 isn't popular anymore. It is the most popular of the pure PvE co-op FPSs on Steam. You know, it has more players than Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood or World War Z or Deep Rock Galactic. Really, the only PvE game that might have more players is Destiny 2, and there's no way to tell how many of those people are playing strictly PvE stuff. So the game still has, quite a few thousand players playing, but if you look at the people who have started the game versus people who have played Border Crossing once, more people have beaten Resident Evil 8 in under 3 hours. More people have beaten Resident Evil 8 with just the knife than have played any of the new missions on normal. The achievement stats for Payday 2 paint this picture of Ozymandias. You know, it was once this mighty and tremendous thing. It was a true underdog story of a small developer who was able to go up against Rockstar and to some respect win. But that's not Starbreeze anymore. One of the things I regret not adding to We're Still Talking About Payday 2 is a where are they now? And a lot of that is, it's just hard to track some folks down. Apparently Lion Game Lion is still in business. Ilya is still with them. I don't know what they're working on now, but best of luck to them and whatever is coming up for them. A bunch of the staff who like made up Overkill during like their their peak have moved on. One of the developers behind some of the game's best missions is one of the two people behind the indie FPS Proteus. Proteus is a lovely game. It is superb. The people who worked on this game are truly talented, but the problem with Payday 2 ultimately comes down to the executives, and 505, and most importantly, Bo fucking Anderson, who bled this company dry to line his own pockets, thinking he could be this like Elon Musk of commercial VR. He was spending so much money on offices in Dubai and San Francisco that they never even used. Never before has the really interesting part of a game been its development story the way Payday 2 was. It is over a decade of just watching these like confusing business decisions just pile up until you're left realizing what had happened, and by that point the money is all gone. The people who are still working at Overkill are no doubt lovely people, but I just can't help but feel sorry for them. There is no doubt in my mind that they don't want to be working in a decades-old engine like Diesel the way they are. They don't want to be stuck with this thing that performs like hot garbage, making missions that only a few hundred people are playing at a time. I can only hope that the missions that have come out since Winds of Change are as cheap as they are. So many of them have a mixed rating. And I can only hope that's because they are saving their money for Payday 3. As much as I don't like this fandom, and as much as I feel like there are a lot of questionable design decisions that made sense in the 7th gen but don't in the 9th, like, being able to be one-shot by the snipers and the cloakers, that kind of stuff. The boss fights are very anemic, the missions are very dated feeling. I can only hope that the 3rd game solves those. But as it currently stands, there's just no idea if there will be a 3rd game in this franchise. They're hoping for one, but do they have the money to last into 2023? And what if the game needs to be delayed into 24? Do they have the funds for that? And I just don't know if the fandom is big enough to support an endeavor like that. I know, Coach Media? The people who published the new Saints Row, and I think all the previous Saints Row too, they are the current publishers behind Payday 3. Will the same horror story unfold again? Will they be as demanding about microtransactions and, player monetization the way 505 was, and squander the goodwill that has been built up? Or at this point, are we just anticipating that the game is gonna have some kind of battle pass-like system, some kind of, premium progression of a sorts? Because that's just what we assume multiplayer games in 2022 and 23, 2024 are gonna look like. I guess only time can tell. But until that day comes, I need my distance. So, if you see me playing the game, say hello. Don't make it fucking weird, please. Don't ask if I'm coming back. I've been back. I'm making the videos I want to make. Like these. This is a delight. This is a pleasure. And I'll see you back sometime soon for Resident Evil. This and more things like this. Thank you. Now let's blow this thing fucking up. It is like exploding immediately. I don't know where it's... What? Oh, there we go. That still didn't do the damage I'd hoped. Oh my god, what was that? If you liked this video and you'd like to see more, I'd recommend subscribing. Coffee and social media links are in the description.